Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. When people come to me and they tell me they're exhausted with watches because prices are too high and they can't get the one steel sports watch they want, I have to remind them that there's better stuff out there. In a world where this watch once cost the equivalent of $33,300 in 2017 money, today it's going to sell used for somewhere just north of half that. And this is quite literally the best stuff on earth. Get ready for a treat today because the watch we're discussing is one of the coolest you will ever see. And yes, it will be available immediately without a wait, no approval, no bundling, at a price much lower than what it sold for new. This is the miracle of pre-owned watches, and this is the Chopard L.U.C XPS 1860 Officer. It's a model that came out in 2017 and was made in 100 pieces in white gold. It is a dress watch par excellence. Easy to wear at 40 millimeters in diameter. It is only 7.9 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, a wonderfully compact 47.7 millimeters and a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. It is thin. It is fine. It is the consummate dress watch. And on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, super slim, easily sliding underneath the cuff, easy to accommodate. I could recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters in circumference, particularly when you see down the barrel how far away from the edge of my wrist the lugs are. This is a fantastic watch. It's also an unassuming thing, as you probably don't realize how rich it is just looking at it. For example, can you tell that this dial is made of solid gold? That's right, it is a disc of solid 18-karat gold, cut on lathes to create the distinctive honeycomb pattern on the center dial, the concentric pattern on the sub-seconds, and the brushed radial sunburst underneath the hours. The solid disc of gold is genuinely lathe-turned. It is not a stamped dial. And you can see the hands, the indices, they likewise are made of golds. They will not tarnish or oxidize over time. The movement is sophisticated, featuring a hacking seconds function that stops the seconds hand, and also, if you need to rapidly cycle, a snappy and fast advancing quick set date. You see what it says on the dial? Chronometer, and it is COSC certified. A little note about the honeycombs, because you will notice that they exist on the caseback as well. Louis Chopard made the bee's nest, the bee's hive, the bee itself, emblematic of Chopard. They were considered to be inventive, industrious, and builders, and so was he. So from the time the company was founded in 1860, Chopard watches, case, and movement tended to feature an engraving related to apiary culture. Now the watch right here features that and more, and we'll get to it in a moment, but looks like the interior finish here has been made minimal and beautiful. You can see we have a very flat and somewhat inset domed polished bezel. We have a vertical brushed satination on the case band, very narrow lugs that have a bit of a rounded end. We have a Louis Chopard logo on the crown, which has a coaxial pusher that opens up the spring-loaded case back. And the watch, 30 meters water resistance, you don't want to swim with it, features a matching white gold buckle, and you can see that it features a little bit of sculpting and a vertical satination to match the case band, as well as a longitudinal satination across its top. One thing to note about this white gold, you might have recognized by this point that it is blindingly white, almost like platinum. This is a rhodium-plated white gold, also known as traditional white gold. There's some brands, such as Piaget, Audemars Piguet, and Chopard, that specifically use this type of white gold on watches that they want to look blindingly white. So they wanted to match between the dial here and the case, and that's mission accomplished. We also have engine turning on the back. Again, not a stamped pattern. This was done with an engine, 21 of 100, limited edition, not just a chronometer, Geneva hallmark, and not just Geneva hallmark, but you can see how we have this wonderful spring-loaded case back that includes a freehand engraved image of the beehive and bees. Everything here was engraved by hand without an engine, without a lathe. This was done by eye-hand coordination with a burin, and it is absolutely artisanal engraving. The closer you get to the letters, the more you can see that they are beautifully, poetically imperfect, the way handcrafted engraving tends to be. The movement, lovely, harking back to the days when Michel Parmigiani was involved in the startup of the Chopard manufacture back in 1996. Here we have caliber 96, referencing that first year, and the Parmigiani guided caliber design of the period. Twin stacked barrels, automatic winding with a 22-karat micro rotor. It's got a 65-hour power reserve, 29 pivot joules, COSC certified Swiss chronometer, adjusted in 5 positions as well as to temperatures. We've got a lovely swan's neck fine adjustment regulator in black polish, engine turning on the base plate, mirrored anglage on the edge of the bridges, but also you can see mirrored beveling in all of the Jew and screw countersinks. So the screws in those countersinks, which have polished edges, those screw heads are black polished. This is truly special stuff and a very, very thin movement. Being a micro rotor, it gives you the convenience of automatic winding, but the thin profile and the open display caseback once the caseback is withdrawn that you would get with a manual wind watch, and absolutely uncompromising with deeply shaded, narrow, tightly spaced, and perfectly aligned abrasive wheel stripes. The best of the best. And again, all of this Geneva hallmark, chronometer certified, handmade, finished, limited edition, extraordinarily rare. And for a watch that once sold for $33,300, someone's going to take this home for well south of $20,000. Maybe you're obsessed with the Royal Oak and the Nautilus and the Aquanaut and something with a 5-point crown, and you won't be told otherwise. But as a friend, I'm advising you that there's great stuff out there that is fantastic value and overlooked. An example right here. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.